Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, America's #1 trusted resource for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Starring award-winning real estate coaches Tim and Julie Harris. Get ready for unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what is truly working to get you into action and make you money in this new real estate boom. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
And welcome back to Real Estate Coaching Radio. As the lovely intro just said, we are your humble hosts, Tim and Julie Harris. We're broadcasting live from Austin, Texas on another wonderfully hot day. So, Julie, welcome to the radio show.
Thank you. It is wonderfully hot outside. Sunshine. No excuses but to be productive, are there? So, it's all good.
You see how I'm working on my mindset about the heat?
I do. I appreciate that. I'm working on it, too.
You know, actually, Julie, you just said something that's funny that reminds me of our days when we sold real estate. There was a client we had, and this is, Julie and I sold real estate for 10 years, but we sold real estate starting in our earlier 20s, and that was like 20 years ago. So those of you who are doing your math, Julie and I are in our mid-40s. So we had this real estate client. His name was Tommy Thompson, and Tommy had made a name for himself. You guys can Google this guy's name, and he made a fortune, like a huge fortune, because what he did is he was one of the pioneers in figuring out how to build these submersible machines. They weren't subs. It was basically a machine that could go down there and pick up gold coins and treasure and things of that nature. So there had been shipwrecks, and these, if I remember correctly, the shipwreck that he found was off the coast of South Carolina, and it was a Spanish ship that had, gone down for, it was like Inca gold or something crazy. It had this huge, everyone knew it was there, but no one had the technology to be able to go after it. Well, so Tommy created this technology. This is when Julie and I sold real estate in Columbus, Ohio. And he did it. He worked at Battelle Memorial Institute. A lot of you guys know know Battelle. Battelle's a huge contractor for the government. No one's supposed to know that, but there you go. I just told you. So, Tommy raised some money. He went out and he basically built this huge, he leased this huge ship that there's like a Nat Geo special on him. Huge guy, very, very famous in his day. And guess what? They found the gold. They actually found it. And so all the investors in Columbus made a fortune. He made a fortune. So Julie and I get lucky, right? We get a call from him, actually his girlfriend, and they want to buy this huge house. And so this is right when Julie and I, this is like our second or third year in the business maybe, and this guy wanted to spend a whole big sum of money. And so obviously we were giving Tommy Thompson pretty much every weekend we had, and it was fun to go out and see these crazy houses that he was interested in. But I remember asking him one time, I think you were with Julie, I remember asking him, why is it, Tommy, that at this point in your life, you could live anywhere in the world, why are you living in Columbus, Ohio? And Tommy was this guy who talked really slow, and I remember he had this funny kind of accent. He's just very, you have to be somewhat of an oddball. He
looked like a guy that would hunt gold for fun. Yeah, eccentric.
Yeah, I made the mistake once of calling him a pirate, which, by the way, I found out later was an insult to him, so I only did that once. But
he did have an eye patch, to be fair. It was a fair comment.
Yeah, but he was a quirky guy. He was fun. So I asked him, so why are you staying in Columbus, Ohio? And he goes, well, we thought about moving someplace else, but the thing is the weather's so bad here, and the winters are so long, and the clouds are so dark that, pretty much all year round, except in the spring and the summer. He said it makes it so, this is his accent, right? He said, so it makes it so you want to just stay in the office all day and work. So those of you who are stuck in places that are not necessarily like Southern California, we have great weather pretty much every day, 12 months of the year, but you're stuck in the rest of the country where you have hot summers like we have here, or really, really cold winters as Julie and I used to experience. Just remember, it's a blessing in surprise. It's a blessing in that you are not tempted to go outside because you could just focus all your best energies working. See, it's all about mindset. That's how you can actually overcome the fact that, we walk out today, we'll basically melt if we stay outside for more than a minute. So,
right.
Julie,
so
what's
you work
the topic?
hard on those days, and then when it's a beautiful day outside, you've earned the right to go and have a lot of fun with that. So it's all balance.
Except in Columbus, where it always rained on the weekends and the beautiful day was on Monday, but that's a side topic. Yeah, there's that. So, Julie, what's the topic of today's radio show?
All right, so we're continuing a radio show that we began last week called the 12-Step Recovery Plan to Break Your Dependence on Buying Leads. And I think we're going to start with point number 5. We might be overlapping just a tiny bit, but I want to make sure that we get these good things into their heads. You know, I always remind clients, Tim, that before there was the internet, or before there was Realtor.com, before there was Zillow and Trulia, or certainly Zulia, or whatever we're calling them these days, business still went on. People still buy and sell real estate, and nobody actually was paying for leads, except maybe some magazine ads and that nature of that sort of thing. But yeah, you actually can create your own leads without paying for them. And this is a shocking thought for some people, especially those who have been licensed in, say, you know, recent 5 to 10 years where that's all they've known.
Yeah.
So,
Joel?
yeah, it is possible.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's jump in with
point
number 5.
Okay, so point number 5. And by the way, guys, I want to thank the sponsors for today's radio show. Of course, I want to always thank our friends at mojosells.com. Again, Julie and I have talked endlessly about Mojo Sells. If you don't know what Mojo Sells is yet, definitely go to the website. It's one of the basic level things. It should be standard issue for everyone with a real estate license. That's just the bottom line. Same goes with our friends at Z Buyers. Z Buyers, despite the names, will also connect you guys with sellers. So go to zbuyers.com, mojosells.com, 2 really great companies. You don't become a sponsor of our radio show just because you wave a credit card our direction, though that is the first step. If we find, frankly, that our existing students aren't using you or don't have nice things to say about you, or we basically think that in alignment with you, your company, even is not a good fit for us, even though you are willing to pay, we will say no. We are only aligning ourselves with companies that we personally have a strong feeling about, but also ones that our existing coaching clients are using. And this is a good opportunity for us to welcome our newest sponsor, which is VTech. And you guys know VTech is a big company. They have lots of cool technology things for your real estate business. Specifically, they have lots of great phones. And we're going to do an upcoming radio show specifically on technology, on basic simple things that maybe you take for granted that would add a lot more efficiency to your business in addition to like Mojo Sells. How about having a totally cordless headset? How about basically making it so you can integrate the Mojo Sells system at a higher level through your phone system? Basic stuff that a lot of you guys have probably just forgotten about. So we're going to be doing an upcoming radio show on that. And also our other title sponsor, of course, is 800homehotline.com. Check out 800homehotline.com. It actually fits in perfectly with the topic today, which is how to generate your own buyer leads. And really the bottom line is buying buyer leads, paying for buyer leads is really insane. Doesn't make any sense. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, thousands of you guys are figuring that out, that it's easier to generate buyer leads and certainly more dollar productive. So, Julie?
All right, so again, we're going to start on point number 5. If you missed the first 4, go back to previous radio shows and get caught up. So we're talking about breaking that dependence on paying for leads. Point number 5 is, after implementing the first 4 points, commit to and embrace the free but contact-oriented, easy, still prospecting. I call it the easy prospecting opportunities. Your job is to identify 5 groups or clubs that you're going to participate in and contribute to. Now, this is something, Tim, that every single listener can and should be doing. None of this is difficult. Some of it might be a little bit out of your comfort zone, but that's exactly why you want to do it. So I have a little note here to myself saying, hey, remind them, be yourself first, then be yourself as a real estate professional second. Don't be all weird about it. Don't show up to the first meeting and say, hey, who do you know wants to buy a house? That would understandably be uncomfortable. Instead, wear your name tag. You're going to mix up the combination of events and make sure that you attend regularly. Everyone would say, and Tim, we've had serious grizzled veterans. I remember when we did the top 100 in real estate a couple of years ago, and we were interviewing Greg Newman, who has done, I think, over 2,000 transactions or something crazy. And we asked him, I believe you had him on a panel, and you asked him, what is the one thing that you'd do differently looking back? You remember he said, I would be better with my past clients. I would be better with my center of influence. I would have had to have done less marketing and spend less money if I was better at that early on. So take it from the people who have gone before you and get good at this starting now. So what are we talking about? Combination of events. Well, let's look at the business ones first. So we've got BNI. A lot of you guys are already in that, Business Network International. You can hit Google and find the divisions that are in your area. or you can start your own BNI. Has a lot of already set up structure to it, so it's fairly easy to get going on that. One of my favorite ones, Tim, is Toastmasters.org, because it teaches you to be a better public speaker and be more comfortable presenting, which of course translates to things like your listing presentation, being better in front of clients, etc. BusinessNetworkAfterWork.com depends on your city. There are different iterations of that. There's women's networks, women entrepreneurs, Hispanic, gay, over 55, different specialized groups. So that's a sampling of business networks. Is there anything you would add to that, Tim, from your hundreds of thousands of past coaching calls as well as calls with coaches?
I would not spend any time networking with other agents beyond what's absolutely required when you have a new listing. Don't think that going to a realtor's meeting is networking. It's not. Same goes.
They're not going to buy or sell with you.
No, they're not. And yeah, it's fun to hang out with other agents because they're very similar to you, and you know it is what it is. But don't waste time and convince yourself that it's not that it is networking. And depending on your market, like in LA, there are a lot of other ways you can. I have a coaching client, Julie, that I've had for a long time, Ben, and he's in LA, and he has done a networking. This is crazy, but listen to this. There's a networking group that was put together in LA for plastic surgeons, right? If you're going to have a networking group for plastic surgeons, LA is the place to do it, right?
Wow.
So he networked with a doctor, one of his friends, plastic surgeon, of course, and that doctor connected him with the person that puts together this networking group. And then Ben went to one of their he sponsored the next one, i.e. paid for it, and then he went there to the networking group to all these plastic surgeons and introduced himself, and there were some, people there that had done transactions with him. And now he's doing, I bet you, no exaggeration, Ben does, he does at least one, maybe two transactions a month just from that one networking group. And in his market, with those types of clients, his average sale price is close to $2.5 million. And that's not including the other. So just from that one networking group, on the growth side of things, 5% is the normal commission. You guys can do the math. He's doing over $100,000 a month just off networking with plastic surgeons. Now, that's a lot of money, right? But you guys could be doing the same thing in your own markets. You just have to drill down. Networking, the interesting thing is a lot of people try to use Facebook and other groups for networking, and that's a great place to start. But once all those online groups reach a certain size, they have a tendency to spin off to offline. In other words, they'll meet at a park or whatever. Definitely connect with folks that way. Incredibly powerful and easy way for you guys to get transactions is working with people that you already have something in common with. So Julie, what's the next point?
Yeah, and that's kind of hyper-specialized. There's a lot of different avenues you can go with that. So think about all of those avenues you have, and a lot of people have past clients that will get them in the door and certain things like that. So, okay, so that was, first we did the business-oriented ones. Then you've got a category of non-business networks when a lot of transactions happen there. If you're not sure what you're interested in, just use meetup.com. A lot of people think that's a dating site. It's not a dating site. Just sounds like it. Meetup.com. And follow your interests. So you just type in your zip code, you type in a radius, and then you have different categories. Maybe you're interested in hiking. So there's lots of bird hikes and things like that on the weekends. And a lot of this stuff is free. So use meetup.com. The idea is that you do this regularly. You get to know people. They get to know you. You get referrals, and your business grows. So meetup.com. You can also look at volunteer work for the arts, animal shelters, sports, kids at risk, Red Cross blood drives. I like things that are already fairly well organized, so there's less work for you to do. You can just participate, get to know people, contribute, and of course the world will give back to you. So you've got the business end of things, you've got the personal interest end of things, and then maybe you've got some volunteer things. So your idea is to mix and match and get maybe 3 to 5 regular things happening per week. You'd be amazed at how many real estate deals come from that. And really, you could do this without spending one red cent, couldn't you, Tim? You could go to Meetup, you could do some of these organizations and really not spend that much. Certainly less than you'd spend buying leads online.
Well, you could. You and I've done. We were part of a Meetup group for French Bulldogs. Julie and I are involved in the French Bulldog Rescue Network. Where we will act as transpo. So if someone has a dog that needs to be adopted, Julie and I will drive to their house and we'll pick the dog up and we'll take it to the person that then is going to rehab the dog usually before the dog is put up for adoption. So we act as transpo. We're like the Underground Railroad for French Bulldogs.
Exactly.
We've done that for a long time. But in this meetup group, Julie and I haven't actively sold real estate for over a decade. But in this meetup group, where we were just going there to meet with other people that love French Bulldogs, we were able to literally start generating real estate transactions. And we would refer the real estate leads out to our coaching clients. And, Julie goes to Pilates. And when she was going to Pilates, she would run into people that also wanted to do real estate
practically
transactions.
Every day. It was crazy. And they didn't even understand what coaching was. I just talked about real estate in general. Imagine if I was actively licensed. Yeah, so that was good for our coaching clients in that area. But yeah, it's amazing. So again, be yourself first, but make sure you're not a secret agent. Talk about real estate. If it's appropriate to wear your name tag, do that. And I always remind people that are resistant to this, Tim, when an agent got a listing and you're not sure how that happened, and you look at that really beautiful listing and you look at that agent going, gosh, I wonder how did that happen? I mean, it wasn't a FSBO, it wasn't an expired, and oh, they must have known them before. Well, you've got to be the agent that somebody else is saying that about you. Otherwise, you're never going to get that same opportunity. So it's powerful stuff. Get good at it. Yeah.
You would probably agree the key to making this work is going to be associating yourself with groups that you have a real love for. I'll even say as far as passion goes. So if you're going to be involved in French Bulldog meetup, make sure you aren't just showing up there with the hopes of getting business. You have to, don't torture yourself. Right. I mean, some of you guys are really introverted, so the idea of doing events like this or going to social things like this makes your skin crawl. But as well as I do, you're doing things that are other people are interested in as well. Maybe like Julie's dad is an avid stamp collector. Or, so maybe he goes to a stamp collecting meetup and they can talk stamps. I mean, whatever it is that you're passionate about, integrate it into your business, and then it makes, frankly, doing real estate transactions a heck of a lot easier because you're generally speaking going to be doing business with people that you're friends with. So and again, unlike when Julie and I were selling real estate where there really only were a handful of things like this, now because of meetup.com and all the other local things that we talked about, there are just so many easy ways. So for this particular point, before Jules gets to the next point, what you need to do is you need to take homework from this, and you need to say, okay, I'm going to find, say, a half dozen of these types of things that I'm going to associate myself with. I'm going to find a half dozen groups that, now, you can, and though for some reason it's usually a little bit more complicated, you could make church if you're in Central Texas, and it's not as connected through Meetup and all that as, say, for example, Southern California is or New York City is. You could maybe do the same thing through church. I mean, in lots of parts of the country, church is the social hub. So inside the church, you'll find that there's other subgroups.
Several opportunities. You might be involved with the kids. You might be involved in other volunteering or, different aspects of that. So within one particular group, you may have 3 or 4 other spin-offs. So that's certainly worthy as well. And you make a good point about church. My Dallas, my Houston gals, if they get tons of business from church, and they love it.
Oh, yeah.
And, some people get weird about that, but if you do it the right way, again, be yourself first, be yourself selling real estate second. Yeah, I mean, lots of business happens that way. So,
well, people want to do business. People want to do business with people that are like themselves. And if you're, again, Julie just touched on something. A lot of people get very uncomfortable with thinking, I'm going to go and, solicit business in church. And some people are so passive about it that, the people sitting next to you in church don't even know that you are in real estate. Okay, that's your fault for not telling them. They will do business with you gladly if for no other reason than frankly, they know you're the same religion and have similar values to them. So, it's opportunity, guys. That's the cool thing about real estate. That's the thing that, frankly, makes me, and I have yet to find this not to be true, real estate is the best business to be in because everybody has to be in real estate, unless you're homeless. I mean, everybody in the world has to be in some home, condo, apartment, whatever you want to call it. Unless you're living in a cardboard box, you're going to have opportunity constantly surrounding you because everybody needs to lease a place if you're in New York, move from a place, buy a place, sell a place, buy an investment place, whatever. We're constantly surrounded by opportunity because unlike selling any other product, right? If you're selling iPhones, not everybody needs nor wants an iPhone. If you're selling, new BMWs, not everybody needs nor wants a new BMW, but everybody needs a house. Everybody needs a place to live. So just keep that in mind. You literally cannot come across a single soul who does not and is not interested in what you have to talk about. I promise you, even if you're the most introverted Dungeons and Dragons dork, if you just start a conversation about Dungeons and Dragons, and you're talking to another Dungeons and Dragons person, I'm dating myself by saying that, but you're going to find commonality, and then you're going to, and you're right, and you're going to end up talking about real estate. That's the way it goes. Dungeons and Dragons is pre-video games. For those of you guys who are Generation X, like Julie and I, you'll know what we're talking about. So sorry for that little
funny
meandering. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so point number 6, network with top listing agents, if that's not you already, especially ones with lots of listings but no buyer's agents. Become their referral agent without having to be on a team. See, that's more efficient than just rolling the dice and paying for leads every month and seeing what happens. These are direct referrals. You've got a signed referral fee agreement. You know it's a real deal. You know it's coming from a top agent. Do a good job for them. They'll send you more. I believe that's a really good plan as you are learning to become that great listing agent yourself. Because remember, we always teach you to earn while you learn, not to just throw things out, at the cost of becoming something. You want to make money along the way as well. So again, point number 6, pretty simple. How do you identify them? Well, you can use your MLS. Most prominent agents are fairly easy to pick out anyway. But the ones you're going after are listing agents who have tons of inventory but no buyer's agents. Not everybody is into the buyer agent model. Some of those agents, I remember Tim, our broker, used to throw out leads in his trash can. When we got started, he said, just prospect my trash can. He didn't work everything. And he always had 10 to 20 listings. So network with top agents. All right, so point number 7, and I love this one because all of you guys like to complain about you have buyers but nothing to sell them. So use your buyers as the excuse to actually prospect for listings. Remember, we're breaking your dependency on your own paying for lead generation. And notice how I worked in prospecting, Tim, on point number 7. We didn't start with that. Had to warm them up on other things before we get to the serious prospecting. So that all of you guys have buyers. So let me give you an example. Make a list of all of your well-qualified, hopefully pre-approved or cash buyers who are also motivated, the ones that you can't seem to find anything for, and then listen to some of our previous radio shows about finding inventory where you're talking about maybe the Zillow Make Me Move category, certainly unrepresented sellers, newer and older expireds, withdrawns temporarily off the market, and use your buyers as the excuse to call. Some of you guys don't call because you're afraid of what to say. Well, if you've got a real buyer looking in that neighborhood and you find a 3-month-old expired, I don't know why you wouldn't call them. And if I was your buyer, I'd fire you if I thought that was something you could do and weren't doing. Does that make sense, Tim?
Well, I would feel guilty if you and I would feel guilty if you and I didn't tell them about the Sellers Wanted flyer idea.
Oh yeah, that's killer too. So along this category, and we talk about that in our radio shows about finding inventory where it seems like there isn't any. So you describe your buyer person or couple or family. Young relocating executive seeks 3,000 plus square foot home in the XYZ school district. They've seen everything already available, just looking for the next thing to pop up. Prefers a nice fenced-in backyard. Make them sound real, and then you can do flyers to the neighborhood, postcards, door hangers, door knocking, certainly calling. There's lots of ways you can do this so that you're actually being proactive and finding your own deals. The advantage to that is it gets rid of your other biggest objection about working with buyers right now, some of you, that you have to compete, and sometimes you get outbid because your buyer won't go high enough or won't guarantee the appraisal or those types of things. When you find something that's not already on the market, you're controlling that transaction. And another great spinoff from that, of course, is that person probably is going to buy with you. So that's one way to take your buyer opportunity and turn it into so much more. And think about how loyal both your buyer and that seller that you've found to make the match will be for you. And that, of course, will create even more business.
Well, and just drive down on that, Jules. It is a killer way for you to shake the trees for listing leads.
Yeah. Which
right?
is really the whole point of what we're doing here.
And Julie and I, when we had a list of buyers that our buyer's agents were working with in a particular neighborhood, we would put together said flyer, have 7 buyers that were looking for whatever, and I'm telling you, we always took listings from that. And the other agents would be fussy about it because most times we were taking out the listings that they were basically being complacent on. I remember many times where we would do a solicitation like that with a seller's wanted flyer for looking for houses for our buyers. And a lot of times the buyers would buy the houses we found, or other times they wouldn't like them, but we'd be able to flip them into a listing. And we'd always get the occasional agent who said, "That was my listing," and it was like, "Well, I mean, the seller didn't even remember your." Right, exactly. So, guys, in a market like this, in most parts of the country, it pays to be proactive, and not only because that is what you're supposed to be doing on behalf of your clients, but also because it makes you look like a superstar in the eyes of your prospective sellers. Because here it is that they probably aren't even hearing from this other agent who basically is taking for granted that they had the listing, and you're out there actively looking for buyers. If I were a seller, which, by the way, we are right now, we're selling 2 of our properties, but as a seller, I want to see that the agent is not just basically sitting around waiting for someone else to bring the buyer, okay? So keep these things in mind. And if you have any conflict with this topic, or if you need any help at all, guys, remember, always ask for a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Existing coaching students, the flyer that we're talking about, the samples are on the website, so make sure you download that and ask your coach about that. I had some emails about our student loan program. We have arranged to continue the student loan program at least for the next 60 days, so if you're interested in becoming a member of our breakthrough coaching program and you maybe aren't able to rationalize spending the normal $1,000 a month, well, no worries. With our student loan program, you can become a member of our breakthrough coaching program, our most elite coaching program, for only $359 a month.
I believe that's right.
So, guys, it's a very cool opportunity for a lot of you who have been fence sitting because you've been waiting for the stars to align. Well, guess what? We've just made it so financially you can take advantage of it now. So, Julie, let's try to get through our other points if we can.
All right, perfect. So the next point is point number 8. Know your new construction and embrace builder business. Use your local weekend paper to identify small and medium builders. Use your pre-listing package tailored for builder business. Do a targeted expired search for, quote, year built and the area only to find expired projects and spec homes. Tim, when we were hunting expired, some of our biggest scores were doing a real targeted search for expired spec homes. That's how you find builders that at least were willing to list. And then, of course, if it's not obvious in your MLS, and it depends on where in the country you are, if there's new construction in there or not, you can always use, and you probably should do this anyway, use the weekend paper. That's where the builders advertise, excuse me, and make those connections. That's both for the sake of your buyers, because it's easier to put a buyer in contract on new construction. They don't have to compete. Yeah, it's a longer process, but you're going to need a paycheck down the road as well, and they're going to have fun building it. So when it's appropriate, price range and area-wise, go to new construction. When I bring this up on coaching calls, and I hear this from the coaches as well, so many times agents will say, well, there's no new construction in my area. Well, how would you know, right? If they're not directly marketing to you, you may or may not be right. Even older towns and cities have infill new construction, and some of that's the best because those are the builders that do spec homes, 1, 2, 3, or 4 at a time, and that business can be fantastic for you. Even if you have to give them a little bit of a deal for multiple listings, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It'll spin into bigger and better stuff. So I've always loved new construction. I know, Tim, you do as well, because, again, you don't have to compete for it. You don't have inspection problems. It's all good.
Well, how about this? One relationship, multiple listings. I mean, do we need to say anything more than that?
Yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't you go after that, right? It's crazy. So, point number 9, hold a buyer's seminar co-hosted with your favorite lender discussing the impact of lower rates, while we've still got them, and the best types of mortgages. Require attendees to sign in with name and phone number so that you can follow up. These become your leads, and you didn't even pay for them. Be able to do a desktop pre-qualification at the event with your lender. And remember, some of those buyers who come to your seminar will also have homes to sell. So that's a great way to generate that. You can do that with directional signs, an inexpensive ad on, in your local paper, Craigslist. You can go and post your event at Starbucks. You can do this very inexpensively. And again, co-host this with a lender who can at least pre-qualify them on the spot. get really good at that. Usually the first one you do isn't quite as spectacular as you would like, but then you hone it in, and maybe you do them every month, every quarter. Turn this into one of your major spokes. So Tim, I'm going to jump on another call, and I will turn it over to you for point number 10.
Actually, Julie, I'm going to hold out in point number 10, and we're just going to keep it as a mystery for another show.
That'll work.
Well, point number 10, guys,
cliffhanger.
simple. If you need any help with any of this, obviously, what you're supposed to do, request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. It's not just a Mickey Mouse call. When you request a free coaching call, you're going to have a 30 and sometimes up to 90-minute call with one of our coaches in the new student area, and guess what you're going to discover? You're going to have all the questions answered about your business, where your efforts should be, where your focus should be. It's a real drill down. This is not just a lightweight free coaching call. And when you do so, we're going to give you copies of 2 of our books. One is Think and Grow Rich for Real Estate, and the other is Real Estate Treasure Map. I'm looking at both of them right now. And yes, you're right, these books are the same books that we've been selling on Amazon for a while, but I'm going to give them to you for free. All you got to do is request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. The coaches will be able to answer all your questions about student loans as well. And guys, listen, anytime we can ever be of service to you at any level, you just request help, and we will help you. You know, student or not, and that's the truth. Existing coaching clients, you have to be drilling down with your coach. Here we are, almost the change of the month. We're right at the center part of the year. On a radio show tomorrow, Julie and I are going to be talking about basically creating your 90-day plan through the whole summer. This is the time. If you have not yet made this year your best year ever, you still have realistically time to make the second half of this year your best year ever. I'm going to give you guys the strongest piece of coaching I could possibly give you. Right now, there's a turn of the month. And this is one of the best times of the year to be going after expireds, and here's why. Most agents are not going to be working over the 4th of July weekend, and yet there's still going to be a lot of expireds. So even if you've never pursued expireds before, you are about to have June turn into July, and there's typically the most expireds in the last day of the month and the first day of the following month. At the same time, it's over a weekend when most agents aren't going to be working and virtually everybody's home. This 4th of July is not a travel weekend. So you are going to have an opportunity over the 4th of July weekend to call expireds. You will not have as much competition. Depending on your market, you might not have any at all, and everybody's going to be home. There's only a few weekends during the whole year that are like this, where it falls, only a few opportunities to hunt expireds where it falls over a holiday weekend. And if you think about it, most times the turn of the month is no particular, there's nothing special about the day. In other words, people aren't home. But now that they are, now that you know that there's a lot of agents that won't be working, and now in every MLS there's going to be a lot of expireds from the overpriced listings that hit the market in the spring, please, I beg you, go after them. Call them. Go knock on their door. Do whatever it takes, but take advantage of the opportunity so you can make the second half of your year better in every way than the first half. If there's anything we can be doing for you, request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Have a fantastic day.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.